Hello, crypto people. My name is Joey. I'm part of the Chart Guys team. I've been a trader and technical analyst for 7 years, over 20,000 hours. Here to talk about some crypto. Here to talk about all these coins getting dumped on the market. You know, we've got Mt. Gox coins getting dumped. We've got German coins getting dumped. And the big question is, is this breaking Bitcoin? Is this something where TA is no longer going to be valuable? Is this something that when we look at the chart, we can see clearly that something is awry? And my opinion on that is no. I know people aren't going to like to hear it, but my opinion's no. It's definitely something to be aware of. You want to not have no clue that we've got these Gox coins getting dumped and these German coins getting dumped. But as far as does TA work? Yes, it absolutely still does. And as far as is this pullback now unhealthy? Is this something troubling for Bitcoin? No, it's not. And we'll pop over to the charts right now and just get right to it. So this is the monthly chart on Bitcoin. Is it a great look to go to new all-time highs and then pull back? No. Am I saying that we're guaranteed to hold the monthly 12 EMA and keep the show on the road forever? No, I'm not saying that either. But I am saying that after you go 196%, without monthly consolidation, it is not shocking to pull back 27.5% from the highs. And if you remember, I posted on Twitter a while back that the historic average for the amount of pullback after breaking the monthly stairstep from all-time highs on Bitcoin is 38%. There's one fat outlier in there, so if you take that out, then it's 32%. And that's not from the highs. That's from where the stairstep breaks. So at this point, we've got 9.64%, and I believe the shallowest in history was around 5% or something like that. It was looking like we were going to beat it here on this green candle of only 4.5% pullback. But is this healthy still? Yes, it is. What would make us say it's not healthy? If we lose the monthly 12 EMA, because what that would then do is create room for a monthly lower high and potential for bears to confirm a monthly downtrend. So we've always got to be prepared for everything. Obviously, everybody here wants Bitcoin to go to 1 million, but if it doesn't, we got to ask ourselves, are we going to ride 6-month consolidation or a next bear winter? Are we just a hodler and we're fine with that and that's our game plan? If that's your game plan, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of more active traders that are either going to flip the ship around and ride it to the downside, or stop out their positions, hedge out their positions, whatever. So it's the same talk that we had up here of, do you want to ride monthly consolidation? And we're just kind of revamping it. At this point, everything's fine, and we're still holding monthly 12 EMA. That's just the key guide, and we're going to stick with that. If we look into the daily chart, do these candles look like something we haven't seen on Bitcoin before? Not to me. Not to me. That's why Dan wasn't holding his IBIT swing over the long weekend, because we know that Bitcoin can put in some fat days. And to be honest, 5.25%, Bitcoin can do a lot more than that. So my take on it is you want to track the coins. It'll be nice to know when that sell pressure stops, because that could time up with a monthly high or low forming. But as far as can we use TA, how do we trade this when we've got all these coins getting dumped? You trade it the same way that you would trade any other time. You have some thesis, some technical based thesis with an invalidation point, and you throw your hat in the fire and you see if it works out. If it does, excellent. If it doesn't, then you stop out. You take a reasonable loss and you move on. Typically, fundamental events like that just kind of expedite the most likely technical scenario. And if we were not, meant to go deeper on the monthly, even with all those coins getting dumped, there would be buy pressure offsetting it. And it'd be like, wow, these Mt. Gox coins really aren't doing crap. And then, 2 weeks later, we've got our monthly high or low set. But the fact that it got a good flush down tells us that we're just not ready for bulls yet. We got to respect that bears are in control. Bulls have been in control for months and months and months. And bears are flexing a little bit right now. That being said, for bulls for aggressive bulls looking for a monthly high or low, this area around the monthly 12 EMA is where you want to be looking to take some shots. Well, how do you take a shot like that when you've got all this fundamental craziness going on? You do it the same way you would do otherwise. So I'm liking the 6 hour right now. Low, high, higher low, lower high, bulls trying to form a higher low here. That's an equilibrium. It's the most common pattern in the market. And just to show that this isn't just like hindsight hullabaloo, I posted this on Twitter during the dump as we were getting that impulsive selling, and bottom fish opportunity for the bolt. And now folks who took that bottom fish opportunity, and for anybody that doesn't know, that essentially means you're buying into the weakness, you've got your stop below support, you have very good risk to reward, and say you got in like there, you got your stop there, you can, I grabbed the wrong box, give me a moment, let me get my long position box. So you have something like that, you get your one-to-one move back up, and you now have a risk-free position. We don't need to know that this is going to be the monthly high or low, or that the selling of the other coins is going to end and bulls are going to be back. We'll never know those things. All we can do is put ourselves in a position with favorable risk to reward in a time where it seems like our odds are decent for getting risk-free. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunities for that. You could have done it yesterday. Same play, and you get the big move back to the highs. So that's kind of the mindset here. Am I an aggressive bull right now? No, I'm not. I'm not personally, because mainly it's those historical averages. If the average historical pullback is 32%, like, I'm not an aggressive bull at 9%. I certainly wasn't an aggressive bull at 4.5%. So if we get another good flush down, I would be interested in trying to go off of the monthly 12 EMA, and then we have we'll go here for some volume profile structure. Got a little structure, last little area for a good bit. But when you have that confluence of that and the monthly 12 EMA, I would be interested. And again, not because I'm overly confident that monthly 12 EMA is going to hold, but because I would need two things. I would need a flush down. I'd need extreme RSI levels on multiple time frames stacked. So like 5, 15, hourly, 4 hour, something like that. And then I would scale into it, scale out some on a bounce, get risk-free, see if that can stick and be a swing position. But otherwise, I'm just kind of chilling. I also, I trade a lot more commodities and index futures than crypto these days, primarily because there's not any good US-based exchanges. So I'm not going to keep a lot of capital on there. And if I don't have a lot of capital on there, then it's just not worth my time when I can go over to futures and leverage up to the you-know-whats and have a bunch of liquidity, bunch of nice tickers to trade, and all of that. So a few reasons why I'm not being an aggressive bull. But if you're a crypto main, now is the time to be hunting. Now's the time to be hunting, and it can be laborious. If you're looking for a monthly high or low, it could take 2 months, 3 months to form, but you got to ask yourself what you're about and what you're interested in. And so that's the aggressive bulls. That's the aggressive bulls. More patient bulls. Let's look at the weekly. We're getting a monthly high or low shaping up. We're going to need a weekly uptrend confirmed. So a more patient bull is going to say, I'm just going to wait till the next weekly bounce. I'm going to see if it's big enough to form a weekly high or low, and then I'm going to look for a weekly high or low. I'm going to sacrifice the distance off of the bottom for increased odds that my efforts can be fruitful here. So that's kind of more so where my mindset is. I'll either get the ideal conditions to the downside to be aggressive in the moment, or I'll miss the first bounce, and then I'll look for that weekly high or low. And then instead of being like a multi-month hunt, you're talking like a 2-week, 3-week hunt. And it's just more proper use of your bandwidth. So we got this range. What's it mean with the directions it breaks? If it breaks bull, odds increase that we've got a weekly bounce getting underway. If it breaks bear, then we're looking down to that monthly 12 EMA and got to stay frosty for a lack of follow through, just as we're, decently extended to the downside. And we know that's a Bitcoin classic. Flush out some supports, flush out some leverage, and then V-shape it back up. So that's what we're looking at here on Bitcoin. And that's that. There's really not that much more to say. So let's move on to Ethereum. Pretty similar deal here. We are trying to hold monthly 12 EMA. We're already testing it. Do I consider this a monthly downtrend? Not personally. I do not. I typically don't put too much credence into trends when you're above the relevant EMA on that time frame. So it's all about, can bulls hold monthly 12 EMA? And then as far as structure, it's going to be pretty similar to Bitcoin. We've got a similar equilibrium. We did break bull without follow through because Bitcoin didn't break bull. And you'll see a lot of alts had this. Anytime you kind of get fear in the space, everything kind of syncs up. We stop seeing so much or so many coins that are kind of off doing their own thing, and everybody pretty much looks the same. And then you can look at retracement size, follow through size to determine relative strength, relative weakness between a bunch of coins. But you want Big Daddy BTC to follow along. So we knew that many coins broke resistance this morning, but with Bitcoin not breaking resistance, that was reason to be cautious, and we can see what happened after that. So whether you want to call it a tightening range or whatever, I'll just call it a balance range because that kind of covers what's going on. We're balancing, but you don't got to split hairs on, is it an EQ? No, because it broke resistance, all of that. So we're looking at key resistance of 3,095 and key support of 2,809. And until we break out of these ranges, nothing's really changing on any of these names. And anytime you've got a balance area, you got bulls playing long off the lows, bears playing short off the highs. It works until it doesn't. You can churn a position in the direction of your bias. You can play it both ways, whatever floats your boat. So that's what we're looking at on ETH here. And if we get the bull break, got to watch out for daily 12 EMA, been acting as resistance for several weeks now. And the big thing, as it has been for a while with Ethereum, is the ETH BTC chart. So if we look on the weekly, bulls are hoping for a weekly equilibrium and to hold this 51 support. Bears are hoping to get yet another rejection from monthly 12 EMA, which we have been talking about throughout all of this ETF hype. They're hoping for another rejection from that monthly 12 EMA with a break of 51. So if that happens, it's not the worst thing in the world for bulls. Bulls obviously would like to just keep control, get through monthly 12 EMA, increase the odds that this is a monthly or a yearly bull flag on ETH BTC. But there's a scenario where we break bear and don't see follow through and then go back up. And one could definitely make an argument that that's actually the ideal situation for ETH BTC, because what that would do is it would allow us to potentially get over this monthly 12 EMA with a monthly uptrend. Because keep in mind, if we hold the weekly EQ and then break it bull and go up like that, we'll still need a monthly uptrend confirmed eventually to be confident and follow through. So it's kind of like holding the weekly EQ satisfies like the shorter term bulls, but like bigger picture bulls kind of welcome that monthly consolidation, of course, as long as it stays healthy. So at this point, just a daily bounce underway. Lots of room for a lower high compared to 55.30. And if we're talking about weekly support holding, bull's going to need a daily uptrend. So looking at LTC. So LTC, let's see here, pretty similar deal, but holding on better than Pierce. So we got the 12-hour lower high, higher low, higher high, rejecting from the EMA. But we can see we're right up near this high of Saturday. If we look at like Ethereum, it's a good bit further away. And Bitcoin, obviously, the furthest away out of those three there. And the reason for it is ETH BTC or LTC BTC is continuing its bounce. So this is all fine and dandy, but as we're going to talk about every time we talk about LTC BTC, until bulls can get over weekly 12 EMA, then all of these little bouts of relative strength are going to be short-lived. So what else? I feel like that brought up something else that I wanted to talk about, but I forgot. We'll just keep moving. It'll probably come back to me. Let's take a look at Sol. So we had our watch list here, holding 2-week support and then our 2-week downtrends. And now at this point, Sol is the only one left, the last bull warrior out of our 2-week charts that we're all looking kind of similar there. And, it could be because of the Sol ETF hype now at this point. But just looking at it as a balancing range, bulls playing long off the lows, bears playing short off the highs, same playbook as always. So 116 is key support, and resistance going to be 188 and 210. And as far as what's going on in the shorter term, pretty much a double bottom, slight bear break without follow through on the flush on the 4th of July into the 5th. And let's look at the 12-hour to compare to our peers here. So it's just another 12-hour tightening range. You can look at it as a 6-hour tightening range as well. I think we'll stick with the 6-hour on all of these guys. And the direction this breaks will tell us odds increasing of a weekly higher low shaping up, or are we going down to look at 116? What Sol bulls like to see is that Sol BTC is a good bit stronger here. So again, bit of a double-edged sword. You like to see Sol BTC being stronger, but if Sol BTC stays within its tightening range and comes down for a few weeks, then that'll be relative weakness coming back into Sol. So bulls are hoping that this can just break bull and keep relative strength in Sol for a good bit here. Let's see, what else am I looking at? I'm starting to watch Link for a falling wedge. Let's start zoomed out. We're looking for a quarterly higher low. You could, and it's not a monthly higher low. So we're looking for a quarterly higher low, and we've got lower low, no follow through, another lower low, no follow through. That tells us to look for a wedge and going to be keeping eyes on that. So what would bulls need to do is step one to say, all right, this wedge is shaping up. It'd be pretty similar to back here where we had 2-day 12 EMA, 2-day 12 EMA resistance. Got to get up and over that with a trend change and then ultimately break the downtrend resistance line. So I'm watching Sol for that. Who else has got a wedge? I think AIOZ had a wedge. Yeah, it's kind of the fugly wedge, but still not seeing follow through on lower lows. We're testing monthly 12 EMA. We're looking for a monthly higher low. We are not seeing follow through on lower lows. You got 1 round without follow through, 2 rounds without follow through. And that's really after breaking this without much follow through. So watching out for it, but no sign of bulls at the moment. Let's see if we got a good EMA rider. Could probably use the 2-day as well on this one. But there's going to be levels to it. You know, in the shorter term, we're seeing 4-hour 12 EMA resistance. Got to get a 4-hour uptrend to try to get another daily bounce underway. Then we'd be looking at 50.23. So keep an eyes on it. Keep an eyes on it, but no sign of bulls yet. Who had a rising wedge? Was that Ton? It was. I don't know how I'm remembering these things. So we had this rising wedge out of Blue Skies on Ton. It broke bear, but what did that mean? What did that mean? That's just weekly consolidation. We're riding the weekly 12 EMA, and now we've got a decent bounce off of it. So if bulls want to hold weekly 12 EMA, this was actually an excellent bounce off of that 4th of July flush. Bulls need the daily uptrend. Reconfirmed. That'd get a weekly higher low set and keep the show on the road for one of our few remaining blue sky bulls that are still up in blue skies there. Pendle, not looking good today. Got relative weakness. It's one of the few coins that's actually back pressing these lows. So continuing to cool off of that. Continuing to cool off of that. We'll see if we get down to this little baby monthly 12 EMA if anything changes. But at this point, we have... Is this our daily back burner? This is actually our daily oversold back burner after this whole move up. But not really the response bulls would want to see. You'd want to see relative strength coming in after something like that. Let's see, who else we got? Let's look at Matic. Matic is in kind of an interesting spot. We've been talking about this quarterly EQ for quite some time now. High, low, lower high, higher low, lower high. Now we've broken to lower lows. So if Bitcoin gets closer to that 32% pullback from the monthly stair-step break, then I think Matic has the potential to be a very good short. When you get these long-term tightening ranges that break, they often see big-time follow-through. Who had a good one? The ratio charts had a good number of these. If we look at this monthly EQ on Ape BTC, bulls have just never showed back up after that broke. ZEC BTC, I think, had one as well. Yeah, ZEC BTC, long time monthly tightening range, broke bear, bulls never showed back up. So when you see something like this on Matic, you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention. It's the same thing, and you see it across all assets, all instruments, and it's the most common pattern in the market. So whether this comes unglued or not will likely depend on what Bitcoin and the rest of the space does, because if Bitcoin holds monthly 12 EMA, then this is probably a bear break without follow through, which would then have you want to look bull on it. But it'll depend what Bitcoin does. Let's look in here. We've got not even testing weekly 12 EMA. We have got 2-day 12 EMA in the shorter term. Bull's got to get up and over that to try to shape up a weekly bounce. And is daily doing some work as well? Not quite. We'll stick with the 2-day here. So it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, this is a definite short or this is a definite long. It's kind of like, you got to pick a side. You got to pick a side and see how things go and see what Bitcoin does. And Bitcoin's either going to make or break the Matic short. So let's look at Matic BTC. And this was another tightening range that broke bear much earlier. Quarterly tightening range, bear break. We can look at it on the monthly. And, we've got half a year now of Matic being weaker than peers after getting this key bear break. And this is what ETH BTC bulls are trying to fend off, because that's a very similar chart. And we keep breaking it without follow through, breaking it without follow through. Matic got the follow through. So keep an eyes on Matic. Anybody else worth keeping eyes on? What's Bonk doing? I didn't see it was having such a day. I don't even really know what to make of that. It's we've got a 2-week equilibrium on Bonk, but the shorter time frames are not that clear. So low, high, higher, low, lower, high. Bulls technically have the higher low set, but they're going to need, let's call it a 2-day uptrend if they want to be confident and follow through. 2 days got decent clarity. You got the double bottom and key resistance going to be 27.1966. What else we got? CRV's popping. CRV's popping. We know the owner or CEO or whatever got liquidated and created quite the flush here, but maybe coming back to life after a slight lower low without follow through, pushing up through daily 12 EMA. Let's see what kind of clarity we got or where we can find some clarity. So definitely anticipating a 3-day. Well, let me just look at the weekly. Hold on. Yeah, we'll stick with the 3-day and then weekly. So looking for a 3-day lower high compared to 36.70. And ultimately, if we push through and break the weekly stair step, which doesn't take much from here, got to break 29.37. If we break that, then be watching weekly 12 EMA for resistance. And we're down at all-time lows, at least on Binance. Let me check that. Let's see who's got something else. We'll do the Bybit spot. Yeah, Black Dirt breakdown there as well. I think we're in Black Dirt breakdown just straight up. Check one more. Yeah, so with that, it's got a nice day here today, getting a good bounce. But if you're a bear looking for this thing to just continue dying, you're watching weekly 12 EMA. Watching weekly 12 EMA. All right, let's check back in on Bitcoin, see what we got going on in the shorter term. Maybe better on the 30-minute. Yeah, so this is a 30-minute EQ. High, low, lower, high, higher, low. I'm telling you, EQs are the most common patterns in the market. This would need to break bull to try to shape up that 6-hour higher low. Granted, it's getting a little funky now as these moves are happening fast because we have 5.5 hours left on this candle. But if we break that bull, then bears are going to be back looking short off of the highs at 58.2 and 58.5. All right, let's see what y'all are talking about. What up, Karan? We are the remnants. Do you think we are done yet? I got no clue. If you're talking about the selling, I got no clue. And again, I just don't care. I just don't care personally. That's the cool thing about having the Slack room, because me not caring doesn't mean that I don't want to know. I do want to know, but like, as far as do I want to spend bandwidth to do all this and that, I personally don't. If I didn't work with people that were tracking that, then I might have to do that. But I'm really blessed that in the chart, guys, we got people all over it, tracking the number of coins live, and they seem to be quite into it and enjoying it. That's not something I would enjoy. So it makes for a good team operation, because they'll say, hey, the selling's done, and then my probability needles will like shift a little bit of, all right, I've the bears just got a little bit weaker here, and then you evaluate the TA, the context, and you go from there. Let's see, let's check out old Ox, ZRO USDT. Is ZRO, is that Ox? Maybe not. I don't know any of these coins. What's Ox? Not ZRO, I don't think. All right, so ZRO. This thing's definitely doing its own thing. Let's start zoomed out. Is there something with more history? I thought ZRO had been around for a minute. I guess not. I gotta figure out what the heck Ox is before we go on. I'm distracted now. ZRX? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Just checking for my sanity. We'll go back to Binance, ZRO USDT. So we got a new coin. When you've got these new coins, you kind of just have to lean on the shorter time frame TA at this point. So we got a weekly stair step. We have got a daily uptrend and a little daily higher high without follow through. So that does increase the odds a bit that we might have some weekly consolidation shaping up. If bulls were to set a healthy daily higher low here and then go up and see another round of higher highs without follow through, then we'd be watching for a rising wedge to potentially get that weekly consolidation underway. But for the time being, we'll still be looking for a daily higher low compared to 272.2. Got a good deal of space to work with for it. If we do pull back more, then we'd have a head and shoulders trying to set up that weekly consolidation. And that is that. So 4 hour, this is actually looking like a falling wedge here to try to shape up the daily higher low. Draw it like that. Anytime you have lower lows that are lacking follow through, it tells you to look for a wedge or a flag. Look for a wedge or a flag, depending on context. So with that, you don't want to be putting stops right below these lows, but I like to kind of, if I'm doing a wedge, I like to kind of manage my risk off of the apex. This one's a little steep, so I don't know if I would do the apex, but like if I'm buying these lower lows, I'm either doing it on a smaller time frame stair step where my stop is quite close and based on price action, or if I'm like just scaling into it, I have an arbitrary stop just like a bit below. But love wedges, probably my favorite pattern. So if this breaks bull, that'll be a daily higher low set, and we'll be looking back up to 443, and that is that. That is that. All right, we'll take a quick look at WIF. So WIF looking for a monthly higher low, just got all-time low support of $1. Weekly is not a downtrend, straight off the highs and just sideways here at this point. So we've got a bit of a sloppy daily equilibrium. Low, high, higher low, lower high. Bulls trying to form a higher low compared to 148.55. This has got to break bull for step one of a monthly higher low shaping up. If it breaks bear, we've got very little until all-time lows. Looking into the 6 hour, different structure from everybody else. Got 6 hour 12 EMA resistance. Got to get up and over that to get a daily bounce underway. And then it's all about 206.51, which due to the depth of the pull back, I would anticipate a lower high compared to that, but actually maybe not now that we're getting quite tight. Once you really start to tighten up, not that this is like uber tight or anything, but once you really start to tighten up, your retracement rules become less valuable, because typically if you retrace beyond 50%, a lower high is the most likely scenario by a fair margin. But once you're on like a really volatile name, wow, that's still 23% away. This is such a volatile name. But say we tighten up, we do get a lower high, and then we go like this. Yes, this pullback would be more than 50% of that move up, but what would it take for bulls to just go up through and break it? Not a ton. Not a ton. Let's see. Ed laughs. You're asking for ticker. The 2 tickers you asked for are 2 of the 5 tickers that I went over in the beginning, my man. Lincoln LTC, if you go back, that is there. E.R. Berg, the ADA warrior. Let's see how it's looking. It's looking just like everybody else, man. It got the 12-hour bull break. No follow through because Bitcoin didn't get follow through, but holding on better. This is like LTC. You got all these turds holding on better now. I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse, but very similar, almost the identical look there. So everything else is going to apply the same in the shorter term, and bigger picture, got to get over weekly 12 EMA or nothing changes. So bigger picture, I'll bring it up every time we talk about this. Looking for a yearly higher low on ADA BTC to stay within a yearly equilibrium, and ADA is going to remain a turd as it has for the last 3 years until that shapes up. Let's see. Levente Farkas looking for information on crypto future trading. We at the Chart Guys, we don't have any crypto futures content, but we've got a ton of TA and just general crypto content. So if you go to our YouTube channel and click the lessons and more playlist, that's like, you'll definitely learn a lot there. But as far as, I'm assuming you're talking about the perpetual futures that are on the crypto exchanges rather than like the CME ones. If you are talking about the CME ones, we do have a futures webinar that Lori did that's on our YouTube channel that you can check on out. No problem, Ed laughs. Let's see, Dolphy. Arrow's getting obliterated, but looking to bottom fish a longer time frame bag. Let's see. Arrow USDT. Yeah, it's tough when you just got Black Dirt Breakdown. We'll see if everybody's in Black Dirt Breakdown. Oh, no, you're not. So looking at it on Coinbase here. Yeah, it's getting smoked, but we're looking for a quarterly higher low and probably still just a monthly higher low as well. So it's going to be the same playbook as everybody else, that you got to get a weekly bounce underway, step one, then regain a weekly uptrend if we're talking monthly higher low shaping up, or first step towards a quarterly higher low. And as far as the shorter term, we got clear daily 12 EMA resistance. Definitely a nice bounce. So bulls are hoping for a daily higher low, daily trend change, and have that be step one of what can eventually extrapolate out to monthly, quarterly higher lows. Let's see. Take a look at Phil. I haven't looked at Phil since it died from that. Phil, I mean, that's not looking good, man. It's not looking good. It was one of our weaker moves off of the lows. It was ultimately our failed base bull break. You know, we saw Link, we saw Jasmine, we saw Doge, like many of these names that had these bases. When they got the break, they actually saw a nice follow through. And now on Phil, we've just got a 2-week downtrend coming down to all-time lows. Daily 12 EMA resistance, pretty comparable relative strength or weakness, you know, or lack thereof compared to peers. It wasn't part of the alts that went to the 12-hour higher high, and we can just view it as a 6-hour tightening range like everybody else. It is holding on better here this morning. If that range breaks bull, got to watch out for daily 12 EMA. If we get over daily 12 EMA, it's a weekly bounce getting underway, and we'll be watching weekly 12 EMA for resistance. All right. Jonathan Walker is spamming ZKS USDT ZSync. Yeah, I don't know, man. It looks like it's just on these, whatever this is. It's not looking great, dude. It seems it's down 100% today. Let's see. Let's see if this, whatever this is any different. That's illiquid. Yeah. Yeah, can't do any TA on that. Looking at Bitcoin dominance, is it coming down anytime soon? I don't know, my friend. I don't make predictions on stuff like that. I'm just going to react. So we know 2-week 12 EMA is the holy grail for this at the moment. And as long as that's support, then we know that Bitcoin is holding on better than peers in general. We'll have variations of it like this Saturday. This was one of the first days in a while where we had Bitcoin dominance coming down because the alts were bouncing stronger. Like alts got crushed. This is the dump on 4th of July into the 5th. Alts came down more than Bitcoin, but then now they're bouncing more than Bitcoin. So just going to keep it simple, and I'm not trying to get too predicative with Bitcoin dominance. But we know once it breaks 2-week 12 EMA, we can say something is different. All right, that's all I've got. Thank y'all for tuning in, sharing some of your time with me this afternoon. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed and you like free info from nerds on TA, then consider subscribing, and we'll see which way the 6-hour EQ breaks on Bitcoin. Obviously, bulls want it to break to the upside, but if it breaks to the downside, make sure you're frosty for a potential bear break without follow through, just with that proximity of the monthly 12 EMA there. So I will see y'all on Thursday, I think. Again, thanks for tuning in. Adios.